Not because it's broken, not because you're getting older or stressed or not training it enough, because a healthy brain is supposed to forget, and the people who can't do it, their lives fall apart. But over the last decade, neuroscientists have found something almost nobody expects. Your brain has entire systems, specific brain regions, specific chemical processes, whose job is to make you forget. Not everything, selectively, deliberately. By the end of this video, you'll understand exactly how the brain does this, why it does it, and what happens to the rare people whose brains refuse to. Spoiler, it's not a superpower, it's a nightmare. Start with something you already know is true. You don't remember being 2 years old, maybe not even 4. You have photos, you have stories your family told you, but no actual first-person memory. For 100 years, the go-to explanation was Freud's. You repress those memories because they're upsetting. That theory is mostly dead now. The modern explanation is stranger, and it's not about trauma at all. It's about construction. During early childhood, your hippocampus, the brain region that files away new memories, is under construction. It's producing new neurons at an enormous rate, and every new neuron that gets wired in disrupts the existing circuitry around it. Picture a librarian who's constantly remodeling the shelves. Every time she rearranges the room, some of the old books become impossible to find. That's one leading explanation for why you can't remember being a toddler, not that nothing happened. Brain imaging in infants actually shows they do encode memories. They just can't hold on to them long-term because the storage system itself is still being rebuilt around them. And this isn't the only place your brain is quietly doing this. It's happening right now, in your adult brain, every single day. First, sleep. You've probably heard sleep helps memory. What's less well known is that part of what sleep does is prune. There's a leading theory in neuroscience called the synaptic homeostasis hypothesis, proposed by researchers Giulio Tononi and Chiara Sorelli. Their idea, every waking hour your brain's connections get a little stronger, a little more tangled from everything you're taking in. If that just kept building forever, the whole system would saturate like a hard drive with no free space. Sleep is when the brain renormalizes it, trimming the weaker, less useful connections back down. It's a widely respected theory, though worth saying clearly, not every neuroscientist agrees on exactly how it works mechanically. There's an active published debate about the precise machinery. Second, your brain actively suppresses competing memories while you're awake, too, and researchers have actually watched it happen. In a 2015 brain imaging study, scientists had people repeatedly try to recall one specific memory while a competing memory kept getting in the way. Using pattern detection techniques on brain scans, they could literally see the competing memory's neural signature getting suppressed in real time as the correct memory won out. Third, and this is the part that removes any doubt this is deliberate, scientists tested it in rats. When rats needed to remember the location of one object, competing memories of other objects in the same environment got actively forgotten. Then researchers switched off a specific part of the rat's prefrontal cortex. The forgetting stopped completely. Turn off the control switch, the deletion doesn't happen. That's about as close to catching a mechanism red-handed as neuroscience gets. So we've got 3 separate independent lines of evidence: sleep research, human brain imaging, and rat brain manipulation, all pointing the same direction. Forgetting isn't your memory system failing, it's your memory system working. Meet Jill Price. That sounds like a gift. She described it as the opposite. In her own words, seeing a date flash on a TV screen would automatically pull her back into reliving that entire day, good or bad, whether she wanted to or not. Painful memories didn't fade the way they're supposed to. They stayed exactly as sharp as the day they happened. Researchers eventually gave this condition a name: highly superior autobiographical memory, or HSAM. Fewer than 100 people on Earth have ever been formally diagnosed with it. And overwhelmingly, when you read their accounts, the word that comes up isn't blessing, its burden. This is where forgetting stops being an abstract neuroscience topic and becomes something with real clinical weight. Consider trauma. Researchers studying mice put them through a repeated trauma protocol designed to mimic PTSD and found that boosting the brain's natural forgetting mechanism actually reduced the PTSD-like symptoms. Not exposure therapy, not medication, more forgetting. But, and this matters, forgetting can also break in the other direction. When researchers studied how stress affects fear memories in the brain's amygdala, they found stress can cause a threat memory to overgeneralize, spreading fear to situations that were never actually dangerous. That overgeneralization is considered a hallmark of anxiety and trauma-related conditions, so this isn't forgetting good, remembering bad. It's a finely tuned system, and both too little forgetting and the wrong kind of forgetting can cause real harm. Think about what remembering everything perfectly would actually cost you. Every choice you make depends on your brain pulling out the relevant pattern from your past, not every single instance of it. If your brain surfaced every parking spot you've ever used, you'd never find your car. If it surfaced every conversation you've ever had with a coworker, you'd struggle to read the room in the current one. Richards and Franklin argue forgetting does two specific jobs. It keeps you flexible by letting go of outdated information that no longer applies, and it lets you generalize by preventing you from overfitting to one specific memory instead of learning the broader pattern. There's a real case study that makes this concrete. Decades earlier, Soviet psychologist Alexander Luria studied a man with an almost limitless memory. He could reproduce huge strings of information flawlessly years later. But Luria's notes describe someone who struggled with the opposite skill: abstraction, understanding metaphor, generalizing a lesson from one situation to a new one. His memory was so specific, so total, that it got in the way of thinking in categories at all, sighted within. That's not a coincidence. That's the mechanism. A brain that forgets the noise is a brain that can actually see the signal. You've probably heard some version of the claim that you forget most of what you learn within a day. That specific stat traces back to a German psychologist named Hermann Ebbinghaus in 1885, who ran an extraordinary self-experiment, memorizing meaningless syllables and testing himself over time to chart exactly how fast memory fades. His famous forgetting curve is real and influential. Here's the honest caveat, though. Ebbinghaus tested nonsense syllables, not meaningful, connected, emotionally relevant information like the stuff you actually care about remembering. So when you see the exact number, you forget 70% in 24 hours, thrown around online as if it applies to everything you learn, that's a simplification of a much narrower original finding. The shape of the curve, fast drop-off then leveling out, holds up. The precise number doesn't generalize the way people think it does, and here's the part that ties everything together. Even the memories that do stick around aren't stored like a video file. Decades of research, much of it from psychologist Elizabeth Loftus, show memory is reconstructive. Every time you recall something, your brain rebuilds it from fragments rather than replaying a fixed recording. Which means forgetting and remembering were never two separate systems fighting each other. They're the same system, doing the same job, keeping the version of your past that's actually useful to you right now. It's more accurate, and honestly more comforting, to think of it as your brain actively choosing, filing away what still matters, letting go of what doesn't, making room for the version of you that has to make decisions today, not the version frozen in every detail of your past. The people who can't do this, who remember everything all the time, whether they want to or not, aren't living an enhanced life. They're living an unfiltered one. And unfiltered isn't the same as better. Forgetting isn't your brain breaking down, it's your brain protecting you from becoming Jill Price or Luria's patient. It's quietly, constantly working so that you can actually think instead of just archive. If this reframes something for you, subscribe. There's a lot more where this came from. And if you've got a memory you're glad you forgot or one you wish you hadn't, drop it in the comments. I read all of them,